أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
So today's youth presentation, which was just made for you, I will start with an apology to you, and I will tell us older people what it means to be young, because we've forgotten what it means to be young. And then the importance of questioning, asking questions, the meaning of Deen, which we think means religion, but it actually doesn't, not the way religion means today. And then what are the requirements of Deen? And then how is Deen universal? That's something which the whole world doesn't really need Deen. Maybe we're better off without Deen, some people say, right? But that's because they don't know what the meaning of Deen is. So we're going to talk a little bit about Islam, the pure Deen, and about the definition of Muslim from the Qur'an and from the oldest lexicon. Lexicon is a dictionary. So we're going to talk about the definition of Muslim from the oldest Arabic dictionary, which was closest to the time of the Prophet's life, peace upon him. And then we're going to talk about the definition of Muslim. We say we are Muslims. A person who does a wrong thing, something bad, says he's a Muslim. Okay, now does that fit? Or is he saying a word he doesn't know the meaning of? So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk very, very briefly about something called Islamophobia. What's the meaning of phobia? Phobia means that you have a fear or a hate, but it is not logical. It is not rational. So they call it an irrational, meaning not rational, not logical kind of fear or hate. Phobia, that's a phobia. So now there's a word which they call Islamophobia, meaning that some people have the phobia about what? Islam. So that's, of course, not a good thing. And how you and I, my dear little ones, and also not so little ones, some of you are little, I can see from the photos, some of you are really little. You might not get what we're talking about, but those of you who are a little bit older, you will get it, inshallah, and you will understand that you and I and your parents and the people you love and all of us, we can change the world for the better, because the world, the way it is today, we're not so really happy with it. We're not proud, actually, of what humanity has done to this world. So that's what we're talking about. So some people were not very good, and we should have actually been making things clear before now. But never mind, it is never, never too late. Never say never. So now we're going to do what? We're going to try and correct our mistakes. Now, what's the meaning of being young? I'm saying that to remind myself, because it's been quite a while since I was young. I'm much older now. So what is the meaning of being young? Oh, it means, listen to this, being much closer to your nature before what? Before the world happened to you. We call that primordial nature, meaning the nature, the way God created you. Al-fitra التي فطر الله الناس عليها. فطرة Allah. That is the nature of your origin, how you were created before what? Before our world fell on your shoulders and made you a different person. So being young means that you are closer to your primordial nature. Al-fitra. Also, you who are young, what are you doing? You are experimenting. There are so many possibilities. You have so much imagination, creativity. And what else do you have? You have your thoughts. You are full of thought and ideas. But what's the beautiful about your thoughts and ideas? They are not like mine. They are not like your parents. They are not like the older people. Why? Because your thoughts have not yet been put in a box. You see, the older you get, your thoughts are more what we call categorized, meaning that they are filed in different boxes. Like for us to be effective and for us to be efficient, we create boxes. So for example, now to come and prepare this class for you. I had to open a few boxes, which I open every week to prepare this box for you, sorry, it's not a box, but to prepare this talk for you. But you young people, you don't have boxes yet. That's why it's so beautiful. Your thoughts have not yet been introduced to the box. And what does the meaning of being young? It means that you are curious, you are expressive, and you are readily forgiving. You can forgive us. That's what we hope, that you will forgive us. Some people, even when they get older, they are ready to forgive. Inshallah, may we be among them. And what are you also? You are direct, you enjoy things, you cry out for small things, and you sleep well, and you have a great sense of humor. Okay, now look at this picture. Guess what it's about? It's about you having much more taste than we do. Did you know that? Did you know that an average person has about 10,000 taste buds on his tongue, and that they are replaced every 2 weeks, and that slows down as we become older. So the older you are, the less taste buds. That is why if your grandma says, oh no, this has not enough sugar, then you must tell her, grandma, it's your taste buds because it has enough sugar, but you are not tasting it. The older you get, the less taste buds you have. And so what happens? You can taste less. So an older person might have 5,000 that are working taste buds, while an average person has 10,000. What about the little ones? Children have taste buds not only on their tongue, they have taste buds along the inside of their cheeks. Do you know that? So you guys, you young people, you have much more taste than we do. Fitra. And the tasting means you are in the now. What older people call in the now. What's the meaning of in the now? Meaning you are present and you can feel just now. You're not thinking of tomorrow so much. You're not thinking of yesterday so much. You are just, and that's beautiful about you. So what also happens when you are so young? Most importantly, you have many questions and you question everything. And that is beautiful. Please keep asking questions because that is beautiful. Nobody should tell you that this question should not be asked. That we want you to ask questions because your questions help us regenerate, help us live better lives. And when we see the world through your eyes, because you are so young and you're so close to your fitrah, so when we see the world through your eyes, we see what we should be doing. Because sometimes, I'm sure you know, you young people, you know that your parents and your grandparents, they get caught up in things which is their lives. And they sometimes, because of being so busy and having so much responsibility, they don't see things through your eyes, you see. But we will try, and me and your parents and all of us, inshallah, that we are here today, we will try to see the world through your eyes because that's the only way that we can correct our aging methods, because our methods are becoming aged, meaning they are becoming old and outdated, and one day they will not be there anymore. You will have your own method. So I'm going to try and show you today the tools to erase the phobia and to correct the criminal attitudes of certain people and for you to live a happy life, inshallah. Al-an. Al-an means now. Al-an, that's in Arabic. So most Muslims, as you know, their hearts are breaking. Why? Because certain people who identify themselves as Muslims are giving a very bad example. And so some of us who are Muslims and we're good people, what are we doing these days? We are trying to erase the word Islam from our profiles. You know, praying and all of that. They try not to, be obviously very Muslims because they will be, persecuted. Or some men, their names are Muhammad. You might find them using another name. That is because what? We are reducing Islam from our profile. But is that the only thing we can do? And is that wise to do? That is, how shall I say it? That is cowardly in a way. Yani we are being cowards. We are cowards in a way when we just do that. What we should be doing is we should be understanding and living through Islam as best as we can. Do not erase the word Islam from your profile to reduce the problems, because if you do that, you don't live the beautiful Islam that Allah gave you and gave the whole of humanity, actually. And you shall see this in a moment. You say, I am Muslim, proudly, inshallah. So non-Muslims, they may hate or fear Islam, or just be apprehensive, meaning, okay, Islam. But those who educate themselves feel much better about Islam. That 100,000 people every year in the USA are becoming Muslims. 100,000 people who are non-Muslims are becoming Muslims every year in the USA alone. Can you believe that? That's in the Pew Research. They have a website where they do research about those things. So, I mean, subhanallah. Why is it? Because Islam is so beautiful, but you have to be what? Look at that word over there, educated. You educate yourself about Islam. So when we understand the Arabic Qur'an and its context and its language, we get the true Islam, we get the true everything. And it is very, very important. It's of crucial importance. Now, I asked one of you, to whom is the Qur'an addressed? You might say it is addressed to Muslims. But that is not true. The Qur'an is not addressed to Muslims. It never says, Ya ayyuhalladhina aslamu, or Ya ayyuhal muslimin, or antum yani whatever, do this, do that, muslimin. Never. It never addresses the Muslimin. Who does it address? Alladhina amanu. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. It also says, Ya ayyuhan nas. It also says, Ya ahl al-kitab. So it does talk to people, of course, all the time, but never calling them Muslim. Although the Quran does talk about Muslims, of course, it talks about Muslims, but does it ever direct conversation or a command or something to Muslims? Do this, do that, or, let me tell you that. Never, never, never. Why? Because there's a huge difference between Islam and Eman, right? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, not ya ayyuhalladhina aslamu. So knowing what the word means is most crucial. We have to know what words mean. So how do we find out? We dig. You dig like you're going on an excavation into the earth. You dig through time to reach 1,000 years ago when the earliest Arabic dictionary was compiled in the year 395 Hijri. And when you do that, you find what the Arabic words meant at that time. It was around the person who did that. He died in 1004. So that is like 1,016 years ago that he died. So his work is even what? It's even earlier. So what does the definition of Deen require? What does Deen mean? It's about accountability and behaving responsibly with compassion. How do we know that? We know that from the Qur'an. We know that from the lexicon. Look at this ayah, those ayat from Surah Al-Ma'un. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Do you see the one who denies Deen? Okay, so let's say somebody is denying Deen. What is he doing? He is pushing away the orphan. So when you deny Deen, you push away a person who is innocent. And he does not urge to the feeding of the miskin. So you are not doing good deeds when you don't have Deen. So Deen is about good deeds. Oh, I see. Deen is about deeds then. Notice that? What about Yawm ad-Din? Who can say what Yawm ad-Din is? Yes, Yawm ad-Din is the day of account. On the day of judgment, there will be something called Yawm ad-Din, which is the day of judgment or the day of account. The day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you did this and you did that. And so what's the meaning of Deen? Deen is accountability. It is not what we understand today as religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asks us to follow one pure and flawless, meaning what? Flawless, meaning that has no fault, faultless standard of accountability or deen. فَعْبُدِ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينَ أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. So worship God in pure accountability to Him. Certainly to God alone is owed pure accountability. So if you want to ask any person from Sweden to maybe in his igloo, somebody who's in his igloo in Alaska, or somebody is in the middle of the jungle of Africa or the jungles of of the Amazons, if you ask them in their language, of course, what is most important to them in their lives, they will tell you something about accountability. They will tell you something about how they are accountable to each other, how they are treating each other. And they will tell you what their law is. Like if somebody does something wrong, what they will do with that person who did something wrong. So that is accountability. And that is Deen. So Deen is about behavior, and everybody agrees it's a unifying value which humanity shares. All of humanity shares Deen, meaning we are accountable. Nobody will tell you it is okay to go out and kill. Nobody will tell you it is okay to go out and steal somebody else's property. Every law, every community has its laws. These are the laws of accountability. So Deen is what? It is a unifying factor. It's a unifying value which we share. But our messenger, he had the perfect Deen. Say, oh people, if you are in doubt regarding my standard of accountability, that's what Allah told him to say, then know that I do not worship those whom you worship other than God, but I worship God who takes us in death unto him. And I have been commanded to be of the faithful, min al-mu'mineen, and set upright your direction. So now we're talking about Deen. What do? We set it straight and we correct ourselves unto the standard of accountability. And we are not of those who are mushrikeen. We are not of those who are shirking. So you see, we do not call upon any other than God, who can neither benefit you nor harm you. If you do, you will indeed be among the wrongdoers. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that ayah, and he told us that the Prophet was ordered to say it, La a'bud, first thing, and then a'budillah, and he said, akum min al-mu'mineen. And what is he saying? In kuntum fi shakkin min dini. He is saying that his deen is the perfect deen. And if he's saying that, and Allah told us to say that, it means that the Prophet is the perfect follower of the deen. So it's very interesting because there are so many things that people think are deen and they're not. You will hear somebody tell you, this is of the deen, you must do this, and they will talk about something not related, but that's not of the deen. And that's why what I'm trying to tell you today is that it's so important to know the meanings of words. The meanings of words. So we are talking here about Islam. Islam is not having any fault, being free of all faults, external and internal. So free of any fault that you do not want to give pain to any other person. Listen to this. If you cause any other person pain, then you are not a Muslim. If you cause any other person pain, you are not a Muslim. When you say Salaamu aleykum, somebody in the olden days, they were in the middle of the desert. They see somebody, they say from far, they say Salaamu aleykum. What does that mean? It means from me to you is salam. What is salam? Peace and safety. I will not harm you. So Salaamu aleykum does not mean hello. It does not mean hi. It means peace and safety from me to you. I will never harm you. So we are accountable to the earth, to its soil, to its animals, to the vegetation, to keep humanity safe. The Prophet, peace upon him, said, the Muslim is one from whose tongue and hand all people are safe. You cannot be Muslim unless you are not harming anybody. So for Islamophobia, to reduce that, we have to mind our behavior. And when we mind our behavior, we prove the stupidity of those who attack our faith. And, listen to this. You will be surprised by this. Any crime, listen to this, any crime automatically cuts off the criminal from Islam. Any crime automatically cuts off the criminal from Islam. Literally. How is that? Because the opposite of Muslim in the Qur'an appears as mujrim. أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. How can you consider a mujrim like a Muslim? What is a mujrim? Young people, this will be very interesting. And this is a piece of knowledge which many people don't know. Many adults don't know. And if you know this and you tell your teacher or you tell your parent or you tell your older friend, they will be surprised. They will say how smart you are. Why? Because the word mujrim, we say it means criminal. As I said, the Muslim is the opposite of the mujrim. So the Muslim is the opposite of the mujrim. But what is a mujrim? We say it's the meaning of criminal in Arabic, but it's more than that. It is somebody who is cut off. It appears in this ayah, but then when we look at the meaning from the lexicon, which I told you about, the 1,000-year-old lexicon, it tells you mujrim is to cut off something and let it be thrown away, like the fruit which falls from the trees. And now you can tell your friends that the English word gram, you know the gram, like here we have this picture of 1 gram of gold. The English word gram comes from jram. Jram in Arabic is the smallest piece of weight. So we want to find out original meaning from linguistic research. What did Islam mean at the time of revelation? Islam in Chinese means pure religion, and a mosque is the pure truth temple. Amazing. So you notice when Islam went to China, it went to China before it came to the rest of what we call today the Arab world. It was only in the Jazeera al-Arabiya, and then it went to China very early on. And so they have the original meaning of the word in Chinese. So Islam in Chinese is the pure religion or the pure accountability. Subhanallah. And if you look at other languages also like French, some of you are French speakers. Look at the word couvrir, in English, to cover. What does that mean? It means kufr. So the word kafir and the word kufr, all of that originally meant to cover. And even today, it does mean to cover. So when you talk about somebody who is not believing and you say he's a heretic, kafir, heretic, what does that mean? In Arabic, all it means, kafir, is somebody who has covered something. And in the Qur'an, even the people who are planting seeds, they are called kafar in their land when plowing the land, because they are covering the seeds with the soil. So somebody who's planting is called a kafir too. So kafir, it just means that they are denying the truth. And the kafir today can be a believer tomorrow. So we don't call people kafir. So Islam is the pure state of being based on accountability and responsibility, and it should be free of warfare. It is the ideal universal standard which the entire world keeps saying it wants. Everybody says they want it, but they give it different names. The Arabic name is Islam. If you see what I mean, the world wants peace, right? They want accountability, nobody to be a criminal. They want the whole world to be doing the right thing and people to be behaving and taking care of each other. And they use different names. What they don't know is that the name for that in Arabic is Islam. And a person who upholds that state of being would be called in Arabic Muslim. And I'm not talking here about faith, because that would be called a mu'min. So we have two different words here, Islam and then Eman. That's a different thing. Today we're talking about Islam, and we're talking about the people who did what? The people who misunderstood Islam and started saying things that are not in the Qur'an, sometimes not in the hadith. All those, some hadith, they took it and they twisted the meaning. Some meanings of the words in the Qur'an, they took it and twisted the meaning. You will hear the word, for example, the ayah of the sword. There's an ayah of the sword in the Qur'an. The whole Qur'an has no ayah of the sword. The whole Qur'an does not have even the word sword in it. The word sword does not exist in the Qur'an. They call it ayatul sayf. There's no such ayah in the Qur'an. But they speak about that and they go off and do ugly things, but that is not the Qur'an. So that is the Iqra principle, which I was giving you an idea about today. And this is my research. And I do look at those books. These are the books that I look through. And of course, the Qur'an with its context. And we gain some knowledge through the hadith. And of course, all of those who preceded us in faith, may Allah be pleased with all of them. So I invite you to get to know the Iqra principle. I will be writing a book shortly about it, inshallah, one for teens and one for little children who are starting to know what the words mean. I'd like you to get to know the Iqra principle, which all it is really is going back to the origin of the meaning of the word Iqra, the first word appearing in the Quran, the first word given to Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, which was Iqra. And I'm inviting you to get to know the Iqra principle, inshallah. It is one project which I believe, inshallah, has the potential to bring humanity together and change the world for the better. So do you want to be part of this beautiful, interesting journey? Do you want to be those whose hearts and minds and behavior and the world sees the correct version of Islam so that we can change our situation? Not just to promote Islam, to promote humanity in the best possible way, to promote our potential, your potential. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما واللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا Muhammad. So today you heard me speak about the young, how we can change the world, the importance of questioning, and that Deen is not simple religion, it is accountability, and that it means primarily your behavior towards others, and that to the world, Islam is universal behavior, but people do not realize that. Iman is higher than Islam in all respects, but it requires Islam as a foundation. Islamophobia can be erased through our behavior as Muslims and mu'mins, and just by understanding the Quran, we can change the world for the better. And the Iqra principle, which I'm offering you, is our tool, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين